Okay.
Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is our work session for the month of February. We have no guests to recognize, but anybody online, this is our work session. This items tonight, will be voted on at next Wednesday's, voting meeting of the board, so this is just a discussion of possible action items. We don't have the roll call. Recognition of meetings, January 10th from 7 to 7:44, board regular session, and 8:45. 7:45 to 8:10 was executive session for legal litigation. Item 2 will be pride and promises. Any reports from standing committees of the board? Administrative reports. Mr. Sager.
Driver meeting this month, student management while driving, seems like that's a topic quite often in the meetings that we're, trying to concentrate on driving, but also trying to deal with kids behind us. Trying to find systems that work for everybody, the driver and the kids and the principals, trying to manage the write-up slips and all that, and, that's always a challenge. The other part of the meeting was winter conditions and driving with the delays and road obstruction. We had a lot of different things that come up over the last couple of months between trees, power lines, and today, obviously, the accident on the road. So, I try to prepare them for anything, because everything can happen. It's not our control, but some of them might go, okay, what am I going to do if I can't get down this road? So I try to tell them, okay, while you're out on your route, learn your exit places. Where's this road go? And a lot of them don't know where the other roads go. So I have maps down there, so I can get them through it and all that. We had a few situations like that this winter, something pretty soon power on, so we got through that. Transmission, I think, about 93 is in and back on the road, everything went smooth with that. And I'm starting to go over the routes with the drivers, again, to make sure nobody gets surprised with that.
Well, it's been a pretty good year so far. I've been surprised with the amount of new drivers and everything that, everything's went pretty well. It's kind of impressive sitting there watching them when they line up to leave. I've picked my grandson up a few times, and you got 10 buses, they all pull in there, just pretty nice. But I was looking, there's 2 buses that have this green bird on them. 93, 94, is that the propane?
Propane is green, the blue is gasoline, and the black is diesel. That's Bluebird identification.
Oh, okay. I noticed, I didn't notice the...
Have we had any problems with those propanes? They've been pretty good.
Yeah. That was when the training went out, or at the engine and stuff, they've been okay. And as far as the smoothness, with a lot of the drivers' preparation, a lot of them came in and rode the routes in their cars, took the route, took the bus, and they had initiative to do that and make things smooth. And great for them, great for me, great for everybody.
Yeah, well, I've been pretty impressed this year, because like I said, you've got new drivers, and I don't want to sound sexist, but we have a lot of women drivers, and, you're driving a 40-foot vehicle around. I'm pretty impressed.
Miss Van, I'm personally 96. The daughters it's like clockwork with her. She's done a great job picking up after. It's been great.
And any of the drivers, after I left that message on Facebook, most of the drivers got back to me and said they give the credit to Joe for training them well. So you're doing good, Joe. Thank you. Any questions? Mr. Novak.
We had a cooler and a freezer at the high school with some problems. We got them both repaired this past month. We had a problem with the contactors and the sewer pumps at the elementary basement a couple weeks ago. We were able to get contactors overnight and get them back. That's the only issue we have the elementary with for the city sewers. Those designed lower, so we will have them pumped forever down there. We've been replacing valves in both buildings. We've completed our univent filters here at the high school, all of our heaters. We're starting the elementary. We're probably a third way in. We're later than we normally do with my guy, who's had last time retired. A little bit behind. We're moving forward. I notified Mr. Rich this morning, we had a main pump in the basement leaking. He isolated it for the heating system, and we got it removed as fast as we could, got a dumpster video. He's gonna try to have like a 2-3 day turnaround for it. We have 2 main pumps, so we're running on our other pump.
The sewage pumps, do we have 2 of those, or what happens when one of those go down?
We have 2, they alternate.
Okay,
There's floats inside the tank down there. Pump right now.
right.
I've only been in one coming in.
Don't blame you.
Both kitchens, had the health inspector this past month, and they were both 100% compliant, so, hats off to them ladies, they work hard down there. And every month there, I try to notify you when he's here. He's always polite, he always likes to come here, he said, because he knows the ladies are top notch. So, hats off to them ladies.
Good. Any questions for Mr. Novad? Mrs. Bell?
We haven't had a school-wide meeting at the elementary since the last board meeting, so I don't have any data to share with you guys, but on this board agenda, you will be approving, the end-of-the-year reward. Last year, we gave away hoverboards for the school-wide prize. This year, the team decided to take 10 students to the trampoline park in Butler, May 22nd, so that's on the agenda this month. The bocce team is raising money, doing that polar plunge down in Pittsburgh. I think Mr. Rich is jumping in. That's on February 23rd, and the proceeds go to Special Olympics. There is a link I added in the board slides because the students that are going need to raise $50. So, like, you can click on this link and donate to those students to help if you were to choose to. Also proud to say that Jess and Amanda made it to the playoffs with the bocce team, so we're tied for first with Mohawk in our division. So they head to Elwood for playoffs for the bocce team. The Jessica and Amanda we went to a conference about what's called esports. And again, that's an inclusion program that includes special ed kids and regular ed kids. And esports is a new thing in our area. We're one of the first districts to start it, but it's video gaming. So they're regular ed kids and special ed kids, and it's a team of 3 kids, and they're video gaming. The one that I watched was monster trucks racing around a track, but we compete with other districts doing that. So just another inclusion thing where we're meshing the special ed with regular ed kids for those relationships. February 9th is my transition meetings for early intervention kids. Early intervention students are students that are in preschool that have IEPs. I meet with the preschools beforehand to get an idea of who's coming in. Currently this year, I only have 6. And I meet with those families on Friday. I've scheduled CPR training for all the special ed staff, including aides. I've had an influx of coordination of outside placements. I just was on the phone today with Sharon Regional for inpatient placement. So I've been busy with students in and out of the district. And then we have a new special ed curriculum that I talked to you guys previously about. They are requiring us to update that. The old version is going out, so staff will be trained April 18th, and we're in the process of doing placement testing for that new program. Sorry, it was long.
What changes between the old and the new? Or is it just updating?
So they won't
Just
tell
like-
you, so the program has booklets, and every year they make you buy booklets
Okay.
to continue the program. Well, then they discontinue those, so then they force you to buy. Now, the only good thing about this new program that I like is it's more online. So the materials that we have to purchase are minimal compared to the old program. But I've been here, 7 years, and so we've had this program, I think, 7 years, and they're renewing it.
What
Okay.
program is it?
It's called Language Exclamation Point. It's been researched as one of the best programs for dyslexia. We're seeing huge growth with our students on the program. So, we currently have language exclamation point 4th edition. They're moving to language exclamation point live, which just means it's more online than the booklet.
If you could give Laura a Reader's Digest version, that although we're using it for special ed, it's not IEP specific, it could be for any learner who shows a deficit, if they were that sufficiently behind.
Yes, so, the program, the placement test picks up the deficits of the student, and then it picks where they need to start in the program. So let's say they missed phonics, then it'll go there. If there's a weakness in writing, then there's a track for them to do that. So that's what I really like about the program, is it's just not something we throw at the kids and everyone has the same thing. We are targeting where their deficits. By the time they get up to Mrs. Miles, we've had the program for 7 years. We used to have kids in ELA reading clear through 12th grade. We're now exiting those kids into regular English in 9th and 10th grade. So, we're seeing great results with the program.
One more thing, and I don't want to, they used to call it, the lowest level was A, C, E, et cetera.
A, B, C, D, E, up to F.
They still do that?
This new program is not.
Okay, so A would be like a pre-primer level,
No, because that's what our Read Well K to 4 is.
or read well.
Yes, our 5 through 12 is the language exclamation point.
What's
So-
the lowest grade level equivalent of that then?
3rd grade.
3rd grade. So
Level
they-
A is about a 3rd grade level,
So they'd be about 2 years behind if they got it in 5th grade.
yes.
And it's our goal then, if they're in grades, by the time they get to grade 7, then Jess's lowest level should be level what?
We get, I want to say like an 8th grade, 9th grade level, is what level that we're exiting them, which,
And they're entering then at like a 5th or 6th grade level when Jess gets them? To exit at an 8th or 9th grade level?
it varies for every student, but we have some kids that are entering on a 4th grade. It just varies, every student, but yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Any questions, Mrs. Bell? Mr. Swerbley?
We sent out our quarter 2 report cards this past month, had all of our grade level data meetings, reviewing the second benchmark. Again, just like we said last year, pretty well on track with where we've been. We do have different groups of kids, so there's some variation there, but for the most part, we're still on track. And this is our 3rd and pilot year of our ELA committee that we've been meeting about, and then we've talked about a little bit here and there. The idea behind it was we took, our teachers within district and built a team and a committee, and they're creating, if you want to call it, like a toolbox of best practices to use in that 90-minute block. So right now, this year, we're basically piloting it, gathering information, what's working, what's not working, and then we'll have a final product for the teachers to use the following school year. And then just talk a little about academic games. We have 2 students, Parker Benton and Carson Mahoney, Parker in Presidents and Carson in Linguistics, that have 1 undefeated. If they get 1 more undefeated in a game, then they would qualify for nationals. And there's a couple games left. And then also, at the conference I was at, I sat in on a federal programs meeting. We're up for our Title I monitoring next year, and one of the things that they want to see is that all of our policies have been reviewed and updated, and you'll see a bunch of policies on there, that the Title I parent policy plus all of our UG policies. UG is Universal Grant Guidance, what the federal government tells us we have to do to regulate the money they give us. But at the meeting, they said that they're going to be looking at and reviewing those, so we're probably going to take those off the agenda to see what they tell us we need to do, go back and review them. So I called Jen today and told her we probably should take those off until we figure out exactly what they're going to change, if anything, and then review them.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Swerbley? Mr. Lake?
Good evening, everybody. Last month, we administered the winter keystones. We'll process those scores in March, whenever we receive those. Started the 24-25 scheduling process. Mr. Pertow and Ms. McCullen have met with all the students at each grade level. Those items have been posted on the Google Classrooms. If anybody wants paper copies, students or parents, they're available in the guidance office. A lot of that went home with students already. We have a 6th grade letter that's going home tomorrow the elementary for the sixth graders coming up to seventh grade about, the scheduling process. Hopefully by then, the end of the month, we'll have course tallies, and then during the month of March, then I can build the master schedule for next school year. Second semester report cards were generated. They're available in Alma. Obviously, we've started the 39 weeks, and last week we reached day 100 already. So, quickly going by. All ninth graders last week visited the Career Technical Center. So those who are interested are starting the application process, if they choose to do so. And then finally, I attended, last week, both rounds of the boys wrestling. They won the preliminary round, and then, they fell to Burgettstown, who eventually was the WPL runner-up. So we lost to a pretty quality team in that first round of the WPL playoffs. And now we have turn our attention to the individual boys and girls who try to qualify through the WPL and on to the state.
Any questions for Mr. Lee? Thank you. Mrs. Columbus?
Thank you. It's always a challenge for me after following the two head principals because I don't like to repeat what they're saying. So I took it a different way this time. On January the 27th, which was a Saturday, if you get the Newcastle News, our Laurel newsletter was printed, 2 nice pages. On your slides, if you click on those, it will take you to a link to it, so you have a digital copy of it also. A lot of great articles. We've got new teachers that submitted articles too, so it was nice to get some things that were happening in the classroom. FFA went to the farm show. 7 of those students earned their Keystone degree. There is a nice article in here about all of the others, and they took home some first in, I think, square dancing and some other placements. I wanted to give you an attendance update. So, usually when you hit the winter months, you see a dip in the attendance because of illnesses and things like that, and of course we just came off of our holiday, and in January we we averaged about 97% present attendance daily. I'd like to see that number go up, so I have made some phone calls to them, like if I see it's like students are missing like a week, I like to call home just to see like what's happening, is there anything going on, and it's like what can we help with. I also had to issue some truancy letters, so we've been busy in the offices getting phone calls and stuff. By law, if we have 3 unexcused absences, I have to issue a truancy letter, same with 6 unexcused absences. I kind of refer to it as the nasty letter because we have to refer to the PA law in there. Just let parents know, like, you have to get the excuses in, and constantly reminding parents to check Alma. If they check Alma, they'll know if the excuse, because usually, I don't care if it's kindergarten or 12th grade, the excuse doesn't make it from point A to point B. There are some people that I've had to set up some attendance meetings for, to help improve their attendance. I want to work with the family. Sometimes there's some situations that we're not aware of and they need some support, so we want to be able to help with that. One of the things that I have had the privilege to work on to represent the district is our Shared County Professional Development Day, which is next Friday. It's on February 16th. 5 schools are participating: Laurel, Shenango, Mohawk, Union, and the Career Center. We are splitting everybody up. So high school will report to Mohawk that day, and elementary is going to report to the Career Center. So we have speakers coming in, and we have sessions set up that teachers can choose what session to go to. We do have teachers here that are going to present in both levels, in both elementary and high school.
Could you name who they are? I'd like to give them appropriate public recognition.
Sure. So in the elementary, I have, I wish I had my list, I don't want to miss anybody.
I looked
Mrs.
at it, so, yeah.
Yeah, Mrs. Jones is going to present using AI in the elementary school, how to use it for a teacher and how to help set that up. I have Mrs. Santini and Mrs. Richards that are going to present about how we use our data in our data meetings and how we run our data team, and how they make the data more of the student's ownership. High school level, yes, Mr. Walzer is going to work on presenting his robotics. and what we do with our robotics program. And then Mrs. Walzer is going to present how we use the data here at the high school level. I also have, Mrs. DeSillo that's going to talk about all of the media that she does. So when you see the newsletters that go out that the kids do, and then, our newscast that's pushed out on Friday, they're gonna present that. We also have time built into our schedule that grade levels are going to have a chance to meet. So, for instance, elementary, all first grades will meet together. These teachers can work together and collaborate. High school will be more departmental. So we've worked very hard to have an interactive session for them and something that they can get out of it and can work with other teachers from other school districts. So hopefully everyone can take something out of it and come back with some great info.
You only forgot one person, Jessica Neofatistas.
Well, no, she's not,
She's listed as a,
School-wide?
no, because we switched that.
it's on the agenda.
Not the one that there was an updated one,
Okay.
I believe so.
Double check that one.
Okay. Well, we will gladly take Mrs. Neofatistas to do some wonderful things for school life.
Any questions for Mrs. Columbus?
I do understand it. Is there electronic, it all goes into Alma, so there's systems that allow you to like send reminders to parents, or give them an opportunity to like get a text or something and say, hey, and reply that
So,
way,
yeah.
or something along those lines, to make it easier.
When a student is marked absent, around 10 o'clock, February, you get the card, the text message that kind of reminds you with that. Elementary, because they're younger, kindergarten, first, second grade, we have a system that, like, after a couple days, we send a reminder letter home, just because it's newer. When you have an older student, usually after 10, 12 years of being in school, they should know to send in an excuse.
They
What?
do, I rate the excuse, leave it on the counter, it doesn't get in there, and then I get, nobody would put the ice cream like that before, it had to.
That's what they call it, that's
Yeah,
what they
so
call it. So I actually have told parents that if that's an issue, I have no problem with anyone emailing me their excuse. And then we just, I send it to Mrs. Bethel, the two of us make sure that it's printed, put in their file, and that we update on all of it.
There's not an Alma automated.
There's not a system that lets, you know, that like make that easier, that's obviously very manual and time-consuming.
Yeah.
With the good news, we have been researching and looking at a new solution for our mass notification system. One that we looked at, selected, we're gonna look at we're gonna migrate to Parent Square, which Shenango has been using for years. It has much more sophistication in regards to communication, not only in regards to, mass notification, but also, allows our teachers to communicate with parents in a safe, responsible manner. Much like Remind or one of the apps, they're not using their personal device. So that's coming in, there's some really nice tools in regards to attendance, submitting forms and so forth, so.
Parents, where when the parents get a notification on the app, they can type the excuse right then and there instead of.
They do that for pickup patrol, you can put that they're absent, it would be nice if you could do it there too, but you can't.
So with pickup control, we ask the parents to still write an excuse because a lot of times it's a generic one that's still just but like we have to have something on the actual,
I actually got not a personal compliment, but a compliment about that. One parent was not highly upset with us, but highly upset with their son, who got a 3-day letter, okay? And the kid's a good student and this and that, and, the parent went to the son and said, why do we get a registered letter from the school? And of course, the parent's first thought was, it's about attendance. He said, did you turn your excuses in? And the kid said no. So the next day, inspired by his father, he went to his locker. And lo and behold, there were 3 excuses. So I also think too that, it's very good that we're being meticulous about that and not saying, well, they have good grades. And no, we do a 3-day letter, 7-day letter, 10, truancy elimination meetings, taking the court, because that's a life skill. We all need to go to work and we only have so much PTO. You don't get your birthday off. If you got a boo-boo tummy, you gotta suck it up a little bit. So thank you for doing that.
The other goal that we're working on is, we averaged about 18 students a day in January.
I know where there's 2 of them.
One's full, the other one.
It will get worse with the seniors as we get closer to the school year. But one more thing, mark your calendars, February 23rd, Sports Bins Night Out. And they're gonna have a band this year.
What's the name of the band again?
Norfolk.
Snarfunk.
Yeah.
The 97%, attendance rate, that's really not bad, is it? I mean,
No.
we used to get reports, and it used to be always like 95 or something, so.
Yeah, so this month it's at 94, which is one of our lower, but we are higher than December. So there's a little bit of money.
I know there's something there to the elementary too, so.
My daughter has it.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
F fever is.
They love this.
Okay, anything else?
No, I'll ask you later, what is late? That's what I want a definition. What is, in the building or in your, seated in your
Well,
class?
sometimes Officer Hill or myself cut a little bit of slack, which we probably shouldn't.
Okay.
But the late bell to answer your question is 8:15.
Mine, I tried to take.
We're locking those doors at 8:15.
And they have to be in their classroom by then, because we do have teachers that, they're not in that seat by 8:15. And I have parents all the time, when they were in the building,
Doesn't matter.
doesn't matter.
Oh, so we know where 4 of them are at.
I got 6.
6, okay.
So I got a third of that problem right here.
So-
As a teacher, put them on the bus, they won't be late. That's what I say,
And then,
put them on the bus.
I don't think on time should be a suggestion, and the hallway is not close enough.
I fully agree, because, I mean, I've terminated people for being late. When I worked for the union, the only power we had was attendance. 8 o'clock in the building was on time. 8:01, you were late. So
Right.
You're taking 4 hours of vacation, or, you know,
Right.
you're late. And it's, as you get older, as you have the seniority and you have vacation, it's not a big deal. When you're a new hire, and you only got 2 or 3 strikes, that's a big deal. You have to learn that, but.
Well, again, that's also one of those things, our kids aren't bad, they're pretty good kids. So let's say you let a couple of attendance go. Let's say you let a couple of parties go, then you let that, it's just not sharp. We need to be sharp, we need to be crisp, there's a standard to be here and there's a standard to be on time.
So I had an attendance meeting with a mother yesterday. When they're in elementary, it's just a handle of kids. But the child, is a pretty good student, but has been partying quite a bit. And when I added up the unexcused parties, not excused, unexcused, they equal to half day of school.
Right.
And so when you look at that, the majority of the times they're missing is that core instruction at the very beginning of the day. And they're hitting, and lo and behold, that child's lowest grade is reading, and they were going reading class. So the best instruction is present and time with the teacher.
I know I said one last thing, but I'm gonna say one last thing, So, Dalmayana and my father had 3 simple rules that were beaten in my head. Go where you're supposed to go, be there on time, and when you're there, use your God-given ability to do the very best you can. So, that was pounded into me at a very young age.
I heard it many times, yep, from
Yeah.
both of them.
Right? So, that's part of what we do. I promise that was my last. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Lee.
Real quick, Mr. Rich, Ms. Bell, and myself went through, the homeless compliance monitoring audit.
I'll never get those 3 hours back.
That, so if we just, that's been taken care of. Quick E-rate update, all paperwork has been submitted. That spoke to E-rate is a federal program, that, subsidizes a lot of our, technology, switching infrastructure, internet and so forth. so that's been taken care of. Mr. Lake, gave the assessment update, so I'm not gonna speak to that. I have an AI summit next week on the 15th that I'll be attending, at MIU in regards to, the use of AI and how to look and develop policies and so forth and use it, responsibly. Since the emergence of artificial intelligence, myself personally, as an educator and both personally and professionally, tried to soak up as much as I possibly could, whether sitting in webinars, reading articles, and or just various opportunities. I don't know where you guys stand on that. I'm very much a proponent for it, but I believe it needs to be done in a responsible manner, much like the internet, YouTube, and everything that went before it. So at this point, I'm really trying to be a gathering, more information, more that I can bring back to the admin team and look at. Because eventually, we do need to have some type of policy in place. It's coming down. We can't ignore it. It's here. So I feel very strongly about that. I'll report there are 3 different sessions, but I want to just let you guys know that that's coming down. Health tickets, we had 98 in January. Our first response time was 2 hours and 14 minutes, and we closed in 2 days, 14 hours. Any questions?
You work on it yourself?
We have another individual, Mr. Wallace.
Okay.
He is the general crime person who goes anonymous, so, and I'm feeling on that.
Okay.
Any other questions for Dr. Lee? Mrs. Conrad?
The governor released his budget address yesterday. I don't know if anybody was tuned into that. It was in the middle of the day, so probably not. But increasing what he's giving out to education this year via a new, yet another factor that goes into that formula called an adequacy investment. Unfortunately, Laurel, along with 2 other schools in Martin County, are not eligible for any of that. And the reasons why are still a little foggy to me. So next Wednesday, Hasbro has a budget seminar that they do every year scheduled, and I'll be attending that as a webinar. And they delve into all of the different components. It's a very complex, I guess it needs to be formula for the basic ed funding, which is our largest stream of funding from the state, around $7 million. And it's going up for us next year about $53,000, and then for special ed it's about $11,000. So there is an increase, but it all boils down to numbers of kids. It's all tied to kids. If we don't have kids, then our numbers go down, both in obviously attendance, that's where the numbers come from, and funding. So there are many other factors that play into that what we end up getting, but the majority, the formula is based on your average daily numbers, 80%. So ours has been slowly declining over the last few years. So thankfully, they're throwing more money into that formula, so our amount is still going up. It's minimal. So I hope to have more to report next week on the reasons behind whether or not.
Is there any districts in the county that are going up in enrollment?
Elwood,
I
I
just talked
believe,
to Leslie
Newcastle.
today from Elwood, that her early intervention on the
Places with low-income housing. They're going up.
They're booming. Oh, I guess I'll take that.
There's a letter that each of you received from Hugo Insurance Company, which is in Beaver Falls, I believe. And they are suggesting that we take a look at them for our health care next year. Laurel is part of an 18-district consortium for our health care, and we all use our buying power to lower our rates, even though we all have our own plans. So we're most likely not going to switch because I don't think this gentleman can give us anything past a 1-year estimate. And even though everybody's health care costs are skyrocketing right now, our preliminary increase for next year is 8%. But I still don't know that anybody's going to be comfortable enough to leave the protection of the consortium with our stop-loss insurance that covers real high-dollar claims. I don't I can't imagine that, I know Mr. Rich and I are both not in favor of that, but I felt like we should at least take a look at it, and so we can say, no, it's not for us, or maybe it will be, I don't know, we'll see. He's got our information, and we'll see what he can do.
Such a crooked industry. It is, it's putrid. You think about they erode the amount of insurance everybody gets every year, and more stadiums and skyscrapers are named after these scumbags. And they provide nothing. You know, they're not healthcare providers, they're just middlemen that chop the legs out of the beneficiaries and pat it upstairs. I mean, it's.
Two other quick things, on your, bill, the bill is for approval for next week. You'll see the final payment for our roof project, which is just a retaining that's left at $44,000. And we have our bond, our second bond payment for the year, which is just interest for this payment, is now $44,000. We have one bond, the district has, 3.5 years left. And the last thing, just wanted to report that in our budget for 23, 24, in too many years, we have this water softener, water improvement project that is a big expense that, our intention was to do it in June, which still could happen. But, in the budget, or the governor's budget from last year that he just approved in December, or not him, but his, legislative bodies, they, have some grant money that is competitive, that would be worth up to 50% of our project cost. So we're going to wait until they roll that application out. I don't know when that's going to be, but we want to at least try for it. I think it sounds like our project would, as long as the stars align for us, that would qualify for some of that funding. So rather than fund it all ourselves out of our fund balance, we're going to try to do that. It could still happen in in June, but in case it doesn't, I just wanted to give you a heads up that we may be pushing that project in next year's budget, and it won't be in this year. It won't be spent in this year.
The difference is it's about a $250,000 project, so if we get $125,000, let's wait.
Yeah.
Because if we don't get the $125,000, it's still a $250,000 project, we're out some additional time, no additional money. So Jen and I just don't feel it's worth the gamble not to try to do this.
And there's actually two grants, and we can try for both of them, 150%, 125. So, fingers crossed. So they've given us no information about the grants and when they're going to roll out. The only thing that said in the summary was 60 days from a date that was arbitrary. So I don't know when we're going to get there.
So we may not put anything in this budget for that, and just put it in for the next budget, or?
It's in this year's budget already, the budget number.
Right.
But we may not actually spend that money.
Okay.
Next.
So we would have to put it in next year as well.
Like, it may look like it's a duplicate.
What's the consortium you belong to for the healthcare dispensary?
It's called the Midwestern Consortium. It's, schools in Butler, Lawrence, and Mercer counties. And our third-party administrator, kind of overseer of all that, is Rashidi out of Indiana, Pennsylvania. And they do quite a few of them across the state.
We've had Rashidi for years, haven't we? I mean,
Been in the
I've been doing this for 19 years, and, yeah.
the thing that would make me leery of changing is we've sort of, with our contract for 5 years, we sort of know where we're at with what we have now. If you change it, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would
Totally
just,
fine, yeah. It would be hard for them to predict the stability through the years, and not put a heavy quarter out, but yeah.
right,
I mean, you have leverage,
yeah.
what you have now.
Yeah,
To some degree.
yeah, they do work with us pretty well, so.
Based on our own claims. So each school district that's in there has a 3-year average of their own claims, it's called experience. And that's what generates our increase, or sometimes it's a decrease, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Rarely, but sometimes it has been.
Any, other questions for Mr. Conrad? Mr. Rich?
Nothing at this time, but I do want to, allude to, through PSBA, you should have got, State of Education 2024. I'm putting that together as a slideshow to, not only review those state issues, but then give them a local flavor. At Laurel, for example, special education expenses outpace revenues. Public schools have experienced a nearly 75% increase in special education over the last 12 years. Funding has increased by about 10%. So it's been up to us then to carry the remaining nearly 2/3. So, just so again, some big picture items, and it'll give us a chance to reflect on where we fit into the big picture. Phil, did you have a question or comment? Let me know when it comes back. All right. That's all I have on that.
Okay, we'll move on to, next Wednesday, we'll do the approval of the minutes. 7A is the treasurer's report and investment report. Any questions on either one of those? Item 8, approval of the bill listings. I believe you have all those. Any questions on item 8? Item 8B is a list of food service fund bills. You also have those. Item 9, board action items, personnel. Item A is retirements, resignation. Approve and accept the following retirements, resignation of Carol Thiel, middle high school cafeteria server, effective January 21st. Any questions on item A? Item B, FMLA disability leave for Emily DeCello, beginning approximately March 11th through March 31st of 24. Any questions on item B? Item C is FMLA disability leave for John Bashiro, beginning March 12th for approximately 2 to 6 weeks. Any questions on item C? Item D, approve Laura Palmer and Jessica Miles as co-assistant directors for the musical for the 23-24 school year at the rate of $1,000 each, total of $2,000 as per collective bargaining agreement. Any questions on item D? Item E is Miss Patty Miles as travel club advisor for the 23-24 school year at the rate of $1,000 as per collective bargaining agreement. Any questions on item E? Item F, stream team is to approve Aiden Breitenbach as addition to the stream team at the rate of $10 an hour for the 23-24 school year. The stream team, that is the people that record our...
Yeah.
Okay.
Our in-house kids.
Now, are they the same ones that put it on, like YouTube?
YouTube, yeah.
Okay. Item G is technology tutor, approve Cheyenne Chapman as technology tutor effective February 15th at the rate of $21,500 a year, prorated over the first year. Ms. Chapman will continue to substitute when needed at the rate of $95 a day in addition to the tutor's salary. Any questions on item G? Who does the tutor, is that works with students, I'm assuming?
Yeah, so if you remember, VOAG, that program has a tutor. Mr. Wypick had a tutor, because he's got those 3 areas, and so it helps with supervision and supplemental instruction. Anything else on that?
No, we've been out of, Mr. Wypeck's been out on aid since, his aide left back before Christmas, so it's been over a month.
Oh, this is a kid that was done in the CAD program?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Did a good job, got a job.
Yeah, that's what happens when you're good. Item H is business manager contract renewal. Approve the renewal agreement with, Ms. Jennifer Conrad, the business manager, effective July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2029. Any questions on that item?
If any do come up during the week, you have any individual questions, obviously this is a personnel matter, I can talk to you privately about that, and I'll be happy to share any information. Anything else, Tim? You think I left out about that?
No.
No? Okay, thank you.
Item I, professional development workshops, approve, professional development workshop seminars for Ms. Jennifer Conrad to virtually attend a 2024 Commonwealth Budget Seminar presented by PASBO on 2/14/24 at the cost of the district for $80 for registration. Any questions on, item I? Item J, addition to the volunteer and non-instructional substitute listing. You have that list. Any questions on item J? Item 10, board action items, committee of the whole. Policy, item A is to approve the first reading of the attached policies, 626 federal fiscal compliance and attachment, 626.1 travel reimbursement, 827 conflict of interest, 918 Title I parent and family engagement, 918.1 Title I parent and family engagement, Laurel Elementary School.
And hold our 2%, and these are the ones in this report where we indicated that we were just gonna pull off of.
Oh, okay, all these?
And
Okay.
the only one we do have to leave is the one attachment for 6P6, which updates the threshold for purchasing, which, missed that last month.
Okay.
Missed that attachment. But these are the ones that they've indicated may have some changes, and our monitoring isn't until next year, so it's gonna pull off.
Okay. Item B, approve the adoption of the attached policy 610, purchasing, and 815, acceptable use of internet, computer, and network resources. Any questions on item B? Item C, agreement with Cree Youth and Family Services, for the 23-24 school year. One additional slot at the Cray Education Center Private Academy School Program at the cost of $13,168.17 per slot for 81 days from January 30th to June 1st, 2024. Any questions on item C? How many placements do we have there now?
We have currently one student in the AEDY, and then we have one student in the emotional support, two students in the emotional support side.
So this will give us one more.
So this would be a total of 3. We have 2 students. I just put this other student in, there'll be a total of 3.
Okay. Item E, pre-student teacher observation, approve Miss Jessica Reynolds, student from Grove City College, to observe Miss Elizabeth Ernst for the spring 2024 semester. Any questions on item E? Item F, approve the attached calendar for the 24-25 school year.
Question on that. I tried getting on my, Google Drive. I didn't see it. I'm obviously doing something wrong. I know it's there, but,
I'll have you touch base with Dr. Lee there after
All right.
to pull up.
sounds good.
We did it, so this is, the calendar is a little bit odd as far as where Christmas falls and whatnot. So, I did a Google survey for the entire staff. And then, we got some feedback, because what we've been trying to do the last few years is the last Friday in May, would put us at graduation. Well, that bumped up the start date, because where Christmas is, at a pretty early August date. Before we did that, we would graduate the first Friday in June. And so we actually spent half an hour, 45 minutes at a professional development day talking to the whole K-12 staff, taking some input. And then as an admin team, we finalized what you see in front of you. So all I want to tell you is this was not an arbitrary process. Can you pull it up there, Rob? Yeah, that looks good. So if you squint real hard, but in any event, so we'll have the 19th and the 20th. Fair's on the 12th, by the way, so we're not Fair Week. But if you look at where Christmas is, typically they would get maybe Christmas Eve, the 24th, and then into the 25th. So we're actually leaving on the 20th. So obviously, you know, we're losing 21, 22, 23. So you got to make up those dates somewhere as compared to dates in past calendars. Obviously, we don't go to school on Saturday or Sunday, but that's what makes it a longer break, if you will. Like for example, one of the suggestions from staff was to come back, give them the second off as well. That's on January, so that's something they wanted. Typically, we have a mid-January in service day, so the first day back, if you will be staff only on the 3rd, and then so the kids are gone on the 20th, and I hope we remember who they are by the time they come back on the 6th. So everyone have a very Merry Christmas. Make your vacation plans now. Schedule your trips to Florida, whatever the case might be. So all I want to tell you is this is worthy of criticism, worthy of a look, but I've never put in so many hours relative to you know, getting it where it is. Admin, any further comment on the creation of the calendar?
We always try to do to where testing falls. We don't want to lose too many instructional days earlier in the year. That's another reason why we're pushing back more days into August.
Are there snow days built into the calendar yet, or?
So scroll down. So you will see that I keep 2 just in case, and I'll tell you why, Mr. Redfoot, is, and this may not be popular with the kids, but a FID day is nothing more than check the box, it counts. I don't know the value of learning on that day. I would rather delay and come to a normal day, or God forbid, an extreme event, cancel and make it up on a day when we can be here and make it count. So really, I will not be whimsically calling FID days. And as a matter of fact, and I told the board our process, when the county split on that one day, I had to alter my opinion because I wanted to come on time, because if you looked at the weather, it was going to get worse during the morning. But I saved Facebook about 1,000 posts by just going along with everybody else. But I did send a picture of the Lone Ranger to every other superintendent, because that's how I feel sometimes, is I'm out there on my own a little bit.
I don't like the FID days. If it's that bad, kids ought to be out playing in the snow. And I get more complaints, and I've seen what happens at FID days. These kids, you know, like you say, they're putting in time, but they're really not getting a whole lot out of it.
Well, and if you look at the regulations, now we have it so everybody has something, okay? But the regulations only say math, science, social studies, and English. So wait a minute. So we're going to count the day. You're a phys ed teacher. You don't have to do anything, but you're going to get paid. You're an English teacher. You still got to make contact with all your students, have something posted with it. If I were the English teacher, I'm still busting my hump trying to get something done. Now, you know, I don't know what you do phys ed remotely anyway, but I'm not picking on phys ed, please. You know.
Don't worry, he has a plan.
Oh yeah. So in any event, yes, Mr. Redfoot, I still do keep 2 snow makeup days on our calendar.
Okay, good. Any other questions?
That first day of bucking work?
So,
I know, Saturday, not away.
The first day is on a Saturday.
oh, listen,
That's the 3rd day.
Yeah, you can't do that.
it's correct. So it's not about the first day, but they still maintain their camp rituals. So for example, this would be an interesting statistic, but I remember as a student, and yes, it was the first Monday, but there were about literally 1/3 of the males in grades 10, 11, 12 who were absent either the Tuesday or they were still at camp. Now, being that it is on Saturday, now they're going up to camp either Thanksgiving night or the next day, but it would not be the recommendation of the superintendent of the board to have school the Monday after Thanksgiving, and I think you would jeopardize your reelection chances.
Any other questions? Item G, award bids, for the remaining library shelves to Damian and Jessica Steele.
Full disclosure, that's my daughter and son-in-law, only bid.
I guess we don't have to pay to get rid of them anyhow.
That was my thought.
Item H is, approve Ms. Dawn Skurbitz and Patty Miles and 7 students to attend the FBLA State Leadership Conference on April 7th through the 10th in Hershey, PA. The cost of the district will be registration, lodging, and meals in the amount not to exceed $6,605. Transportation will be by school van. Any questions on item H?
No, but we've been doing a good job at that for a long, long time, going back to Mrs. Santini, and I'd also like to then acknowledge Mrs. Skurbitz and Mrs. Miles for the continuation of this. I think it's a great experience for our students.
Mhm. Item A, or item I, is approve and ratify the following field trips
As listed?
as listed. Any questions on any of the, give me a minute.
One more added next week. Even the eclipse,
I've already heard about it, yeah.
Oh, really? Yeah, what a big, is there a big eclipse coming?
Yes, and the best place to view it is from Erie, and I don't remember the name, but my son Reed told me, and he said the next viewing will be in 26 years.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the physics class, so they come to it.
Cool. And it'll be the cloudiest day around, you won't.
Akron,
And Ohio gets 5 free days that they don't have to make up. So that's even better. You're calling off the day, yeah, because I'm sure all your kids are gonna go see the eclipse. And you're paying everybody, I have a problem with that. You're paying everybody for 0 productivity, and the kids get 0 productivity out of the day.
Any questions on any of the, trips? Item 11 is any new business? Comments, question from the floor? Anybody online?
It's about the roof payment, the final roof payment coming in. I heard during the wrestling match a couple weeks ago, there was pretty good roof leaks between the 2 gyms. Like, the garbage can underneath the roof. Nobody heard about that? So my question is that covered under warranty? So when I came in on the following Monday or so, for a basketball game, the garbage can was still sitting there between the 2 gyms. What was that?
When they were doing the roof, there was a bowl left loose, that was during that time frame.
No, it was like 2 weeks, last 2 weeks. Last, I'm gonna say it was the 27th. It was Sunday the 27th.
Well, the good thing is our roofing company is right down the road, which was one of the reasons we got them. So, I'm sure, Mr. Novak finds something, he can have them take a look at it.
Sunday, it was pouring. I don't know if that was part of it was fixed or not.
Well, there was a problem we were having in that area before they did the roof, but I don't know. Would that be where that flashing is, where that one, I don't.
Why don't you call Kevin Carmichael and ask him about the bucket?
Well, it was the youth.
Youth.
It was the youth, so it would have been nice.
Call Ryan Miles.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? If nothing, I will adjourn the meeting. Thank everybody
Thank you,
for coming out. Jeff, that's the quietest I think I've